So what if we were to, let's say our partners were to be yelling at us and we suddenly put Donald Duck voices over the top? That would change the submodalities.
They continue yelling and it gets louder.
Well, perhaps a lot of us automatically turn the volume down. And by the way, when we talk about someone's yelling and we automatically turn the volume down, or we turn their voice into Mickey Mouse, or perhaps we hear an inner critic, perhaps we hear a voice inside saying we're not good enough, and we turn the location of it from up there and we make it behind us and small in like a Donald Duck voice. When we do that stuff, we could call it a strategy.
Hi, Adrian here, NLP trainer and coach. This video that you're about to watch is filmed in a live Zoom class. We have expatriates based all around the world, and we do these classes and we share a little bit with you because we think it's important that you get to see what goes on behind closed doors and how some of these processes really work. I hope you enjoy. Make sure you click the subscribe button and we'll see you at the end.
And it can seem to a lot of people to be a bit irrelevant because they can get along in life anyway. And guess what? It's incredibly easy to get along in life. But to live an outstanding life, we might want to make tweaks. So we now have a whole pile of stuff under our tool belt, or a greater awareness as to all these things. And if we want to improve our life, we could actually take any one of the representation systems and work on improving that. Or we can even just take a little slice, like a submodality, and work on that. I noticed in mine, when I have motivation, there's a little voice in my head, or words in my head, like, go get it. Rawr. There are words in my head, but I actually notice that the tonality kind of goes up. It's the tonality that goes up, and that one slight difference, the tone going up, created a shift. So if I say to myself, yeah, I didn't deliberately do the body language. If I go, yeah, just by dropping the submodality of tone, yeah, I automatically have this kinesthetic response, like downwards. Some other people noticed that if they had more colors and more brightness, they could make things more motivating. So there's a whole pile of stuff we can do with submodalities. Lots and lots and lots. And it doesn't end there. And we're going to move on from there. But throughout our entire NLP journey and our life journey, we will constantly make references back to the submodalities.
Sorry, I was on the phone then, Adrian. I had to speak to my favorite Karina, who was having some difficulty getting in. Little did I know that she was going to yell at me so much.
Okay, I hope OnePlus 7 Pro has finished her yelling. Now, what if she was yelling in a Mickey Mouse voice?
Then I would have been just as prepared to assist.
So what if we were to, let's say our partners were to be yelling at us and we suddenly put Donald Duck voices over the top? That would change the submodalities.
They continue yelling and it gets louder.
Well, perhaps a lot of us automatically turn the volume down. And by the way, when we talk about someone's yelling and we automatically turn the volume down, or we turn their voice into Mickey Mouse, or perhaps we hear an inner critic, perhaps we hear a voice inside saying we're not good enough, and we turn the location of it from up there and we make it behind us and small in like a Donald Duck voice. When we do that stuff, we could call it a strategy. We can put together strategies where we change the submodalities and things, and we might do it slowly, but we can actually learn to do it fast, and we can train our brain to do it automatically.
Adrian, I had an interesting experience today, speaking of yelling at people. I had an all-day meeting / working from a remote location today planned for a colleague of mine and I. And so we had breakfast and lunch down at Balmoral Beach at a series of cafes so we could try the different foods and try and pick a spot that was going to work well for a long-term let's meet here kind of location. And we were talking about a client that we had, and he was recalling a time where we were in Taiwan together and the client was having a really good yell at me, like a really, really solid pointing fingers, standing up, raised voice kind of a yell at me. I barely remember what the content of the conversation was. I remember the gist of what it was and the outcome that happened. And I told him that I didn't really remember it all that well. And he was absolutely astounded that there was such a ferocious attack, a verbal attack, that I had almost no recollection of. And he said, how is it possible? How is it possible that you don't remember that? Because it was such a standout moment for his experience of that particular client. And I said that because no matter what anybody says to me, no matter how they say it to me, it doesn't actually change the way that I see myself. Most people, most of the time, when somebody gives them a piece of their mind, when they're attacked, they take it personally, as though what somebody else thinks of them actually changes who they are. And he was interested to understand more about this idea. And he said, but when somebody yells at me, how can I not help but feel that I'm being devalued? How can I feel like I'm not being taken seriously? Or how can I not feel as though that I am less than? And I simply responded by the fact that the only person who can actually take away your power is no one. You have to give it away. If somebody wants to take it, they can try all they want, but it requires you to give it to them. They can't take it away from you. He was astounded, as though this was the first time that he had ever heard such a thing. But it's true. But it's all part of the strategy. Sometimes some people yell at me. As surprising as that may be, sometimes it happens. But it doesn't actually mean that I'm going to give them anything that I have. Whether it's how I feel about myself, the power that I have, or any control over the situation. I'm not going to give it to them just because they raise their voice.
But whether you guys like it or not, you can relax, because a lot of the stuff we've done is in your unconscious where it should be. Yeah, you might not be able to recall all this stuff off the top of your head, but that's perfectly okay. You have the awareness now. Your brain or your unconscious is going to start doing some of this anyway. Yeah, you're going to get some insights, and consciously it may slip by, yet your unconscious, being the supercomputer, is downloading all the super strategies, all the new ideas. And you're going to find yourself just naturally changing submodalities, or just naturally becoming more aware of strategies as we go. So that's one of the best things about this training, is you can kind of just relax and know that so much of this is just going to be handled automatically.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.